Hey guys, it's Brooke. Welcome back to my channel where today I will be discussing my most disappointing reads of 2022. Just a little disclaimer before I start this video, I am in no way trying to disparage you for liking these books or trying to change your mind on these books if you really love them. I am so excited for you. I'm so happy for you. I wish I could love them as much as you. Um, I tried really hard, but these books just really fell flat for me, and I'm about to tell you why. So the first book that I'm going to be talking about is The Tattooist of Auschwitz by Heather Morris. I in no way hated this book. There are still a lot of positives about this book, even though I only gave it 3 stars. It's relatively short. I read it in a day. I was totally engrossed in the story and in the characters. It was a very fascinating historical read. It's actually based on a true story. We follow Lale, who is a Slovakian Jew, and in 1942 he was sent to Auschwitz, and just to kind of try to stay alive, he was chosen as a tattooer he would tattoo all the prisoners entering Auschwitz. He would put their serial numbers on their arms. And one day a woman walks up and holds out her arm to be tattooed by Lale, and he looks up at Gita and he immediately falls in love with her and knows that they will make it out of Auschwitz together and get married and spend the rest of their lives together. It's really a beautiful love story, and this book proves that love and light can be found even in the darkest of circumstances. And it was heartbreaking to read about what all Lale and Gita went through and all the prisoners of Auschwitz and concentration camps at large. But the problem that I had with this book was just the writing style. I don't think it did Lale's story justice. It was very choppy. It was not very storytelling-esque. It was just he went and he did this, and he did this, and he did this, and he did this. It was just very choppy, short sentences that didn't make for a great novel with great storytelling. Um, I found myself wishing that Lale would have written his own like memoir or autobiography, kind of along the lines of Night by Elie Wiesel, because I just think it would have been so much more gripping and impactful. Not to say that this wasn't impactful, but I think hearing it come from Lale himself and him describe it would have just painted the picture more vividly, and I would have just enjoyed it coming from him more. Okay, so the next book that I'm going to talk about, it's actually 2 books because they are very, very similar, and that's why I've kind of grouped them together, and once you see them, if you've read them both, you'll know kind of what I'm getting at. So they are Love and Other Words by Christina Lauren and Every Summer After by Carley Fortune. At first glance, I thought I would love these. I read The Soulmate Equation by Christina Lauren earlier this year, loved it, 5 stars, one of my favorite reads of this year. Carley Fortune, this had so much promise. It was a small town romance set in a lake in Canada. Maybe like, I think, second chance romance, which I like. It's a new author, so I wanted to give her a try. And they both have a plot twist that I despise. And that just ruined both books for me. I actually did enjoy Every Summer After more than Love and Other Words, even though it is like a carbon copy. These are honestly the same book. I just couldn't believe it, how similar they were. I don't know if she gave any kind of credit to Christina Lauren. I don't know. They're so incredibly similar. But just story-wise and character-wise, I did enjoy this one more, which is kind of crazy. But just the plot twist in both of them, honestly, I might have given this one 4.5, 5 stars if it weren't for the plot twist. But I can't get behind that plot twist. If you read either of these, you know what I'm talking about. That immediately ruins a book for me. It's a no-go immediately, ruins any chance of like 5 stars that I was gonna give. I cannot get behind that plot twist. So that's why these two were very disappointing for me. Okay, so the next book on the list, very controversial, very, very controversial. Um, Once again, I tried to love this book. I tried so hard. But that is Book Lovers by Emily Henry. I have come to the conclusion after reading Beach Read, People We Meet on Vacation, and Book Lovers that Emily Henry's books just aren't for me. I gave Beach Read 4 stars. I actually did really enjoy it. It was the first one that I read. Um, but People We Meet on Vacation, I did not like at all. And then now Book Lovers, I really didn't like. I think it's probably my least favorite of the three. I don't think it should have been marketed as a romance. I think it was more of a tale of sisterhood, which is fine. If you want to write a story about that, that sounds amazing. I'd love to read that. Um, but don't market it maybe as a romance when it was really more of a tale about sisters. And that brings up another issue that I have with the book, which is Libby, the main character Nora's sister. She was just so annoying. She grated on my nerves so badly. She was very selfish and she just took and took and took from Nora. Nora focused all of her attention on Libby. I just felt like Libby was a very draining person to be around. There was also no chemistry between Charlie and Nora, the two main characters, and the love interest. There was no chemistry there. It didn't feel like a romance. Libby annoyed me endlessly. She kept talking about how much she hated the small town that she was in and she wanted to go back to New York. She was just complaining the whole time about being in the small town. The small town was actually my favorite part of the book and the bookstore that she worked in. I'm just like, if you hate the small town so much, just go back to New York already. I really wanted to love it, but I realized that Emily Henry's books aren't for me, and that is okay. She appeals to so many people, and that makes me so happy. I think she's a great writer. It's just her characters and her plot lines that just don't mesh with me. So, the final book on the list is probably the most controversial and honestly the most disappointing for me personally, because it is The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by V.E. Schwab. This one was so disappointing for me because V.E. Schwab is one of my all-time favorite authors. I've grown up with her books. I think she's an incredible writer and storyteller, and the worlds she creates and the characters she creates are so rich and multidimensional and nuanced. This one just fell so flat for me because honestly, not a lot happened. It was just a lot of walking around different centuries, different time periods. I thought it was a great concept and it just wasn't executed well. There was hardly any plot. One of the characters, Henry, I thought honestly all of his parts could be cut from the book. They felt unnecessary, they dragged on. He was so whiny. Honestly, Luke, the antagonist, was my favorite character. He was by far the most multidimensional and interesting to read from, even though he was horrible. I just think he was the only character that had any substance, any kind of interesting factor to him. And I know that's probably, so confusing to so many of you, and it's just so disappointing to me. I really wish I had loved that book more because the writing was gorgeous, the cover is gorgeous, the concept is gorgeous. I just really was expecting more from it. Okay, guys, so that was my list of the most disappointing reads of 2022 for me. Once again, if you love these books, I'm so happy. I am no way trying to offend anybody. I wish I had loved these books as much as you. So let me know if you agree with any of my picks, and if not, let me know your most disappointing reads of 2022. So until then, I'll see you in my next video. Bye, guys!